Hi, I'm Mike Mercurios, Chief Executive Officer for the San Diego Association of Realtors and the San Diego MLS. This is The Scoop. This is our weekly update for everyone that we call the Power Hour. I have with us guest host, Mark Marquez. Mark, how are you again?
I'm great. Thanks, Mike.
So I think this is what, our third month doing this? What are your thoughts on it? Getting any better?
I think we've come a long way. We have great content. I think the members have found it helpful. I always like to thank our president, Carla Farley, for being the brain master child of this, and I think it's been a great opportunity for us to reach out to the members.
And I've been hearing a lot of the members out there, especially brokers that are tuning in, they love the information, they love the content, and it looks as if we're going to keep doing this into the indefinite future, so get prepared to get used to seeing me on a
I'll have to renew my contract.
Yeah, we'll get right on that. But speaking of getting on, let's talk real quick about who we have for today's little broadcast. We have our local economist that's been working with the association for some time now, Alan Nevin. I think our members love to hear from him. And then we also have two people from the caravans. We first have from the Mission Bay Real Estate Association, Christine Wright and Victoria Schaefer. And then for Rancho Penasquitos, we have Michael Francisco. Both of them, thank you for joining us. So we'll give you a little intro a little bit later. And then our top producer panel, we have Kelly Woodard from Big Block. We have Pete Middleton from EXP and Alisa Davies from Reef Point Realty. So thank you to all of them. And then lastly, I know everyone's so excited about hearing from Carla Farley, our 2020 president, and she's just always a ball of energy sharing what the association is doing. And I'm glad to say there is a lot that the association is doing. So please stick around for that. There are some really great things that you're going to want to hear about, especially the safety kits that we put together for everybody to help you with your clients. So with that, let's get right into the market update. Mark, this has become the area that you've been shining in and kind of giving your expertise to it. What are you seeing with what we have going on with active listings right now?
Well, before we jump into active listings, I think we need to kind of make an assessment of the marketplace. And what we're seeing is loans are being done at a high level again. There are more loan applicants, more closings, and we're seeing the process accelerate coming out of this pandemic. And so one example, I was talking to a top producing loan officer yesterday, and the comment they made is that the irony of all this is everyone's asking to get their deal closed soon. So they're seeing a lot of 21-day escrows, which why, you ask? Because there's multiple offers, and so sellers are demanding timely closes, get their deal wrapped up, and that's important. So if you're a buyer's agent out there, know that those sellers are going to ask you for a timely escrow, and you got to know that your loan officer can close. There's only so many loan institutions out there that are actually operating at that speed, so make sure you understand who you're doing business with so that you can win that offer, get it accepted, and close on time. So that being said, going into active listings, very interesting. I'm going to kind of compare actives to pendings, and what's really, really interesting with both categories right now, if you look at Carlsbad new listings this week, for example, we're down about 25 listings, which is very interesting because they put about 25 listings pending. And so what does that mean, and how do I apply that to my listing presentation, or how do I apply that to my buyer awareness? Is basically we're 1 for 1. That's 100% absorption on inventory that's coming into the market. And so that means that there's nothing settling for later, that it's all pending inventory. And we're not seeing a lot of new product coming in that particular market. So if you're in Carlsbad, they're flying off the shelf, right? And so in general, active listings are actually down quite a bit. We're actually down to like 4,500 active listings, which is extremely low. And if you look at some of the other markets, for example, like Rancho Penasquitos and Scraps Ranch, Rancho Penasquitos saw 3 new listings, Scraps Ranch saw 2. Inventory in those markets is even severely low. And then so if we move into pendings, let's talk about pendings. That's where the great news is. Pendings are now well in the 800s weekly. So to see pendings going into the 800s weekly puts us in the stratosphere, takes us beyond where we were in February, which is spectacular. And so when you're consulting your buyers and sellers, well-priced homes are going pending immediately in multiple offers. And when we get to our panelists, I'm very curious to understand which price points they're working in, and where they're really seeing the multiple offers happen at the highest level. I mean, I've heard rumors of 15 to 30 offers on certain properties, and I'd be curious to find out where those are happening. We'll find out that later in the panel. But if note the pending inventory on the screen, 835 per week. That's the highest we've seen, period, regardless of what's going on in the world. And so a flight to quality, a flight to inventory, everything is selling. Great, great news. Let's talk about solds. Okay, moving into solds. We saw 13 properties moving into sold. We saw 4 more properties than average moving in Rancho Bernardo. And as you would expect, very similar pattern where we're seeing sold inventory close that was put into escrow during the dip. So as a function of the lower activity that we saw a couple months ago. So that is expected to be low, but as we tail out of this, we'll see those 800 and some odd pendings that we do start to close here in the next 30 days. So what do we do with all that data? Well, we need to understand what the market's doing. We're actually overheating right now, and we're eating up the inventory that we have built, and we're seeing negative inventory than we have in the past. So it's almost like the pandemic never happened, and now we're in this acceleration mode. So good news for everybody. Well price your home. Don't let the sellers get unrealistic. You'll still sit on an overpriced home, and the activity is just exceptional. I'm just blown away by the statistics.
So we've been doing this for a while, 3 months or so. You talked about 21-day escrows. Is it safe to say pretty much people have adapted to the environment, to the new normal? Would you agree with that?
No question. I'm over the cliche of new normal, but yes, they've adapted. They've kind of come out of hibernation in full effect, and here we are beyond full speed.
What about all the other services? Everyone's just kind of falling in line to make it the 21 days possible. Would you agree?
Yes, and that's a function of the market creating. When you have multiple offers, sellers want superior terms, right? And one of those terms is close that transaction. Time's always our enemy in a deal. And so you're seeing sellers want to wrap it up, move on, because there's also a lot of, they're buying up or they're moving away, right? So if they're moving out of town, they want to get to that next leg. If they're moving up, they got to close that other deal.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's see how this kind of pulls together when we talk to Alan. So Alan Nevin is the Director of Economics and Market Research at Exp Group. Alan, many of you know of him, but his background is pretty deep in terms of his experience. Chief economist for the building industry, California building industry. Also is president of Conway Securities. He was the director of research over at the London Group in downtown San Diego, and a professor at San Diego, or University of California at San Diego, and Burnham Moores. So Alan, we're very honored to have you. Thank you so much for working with us over the years on everything and taking a look at this for our members. So Alan, are you there with us?
I am here.
There you are. Perfect. All right. So tell us what you have for us today. I understand you have some slides and a quick little presentation like you did last.
Yeah, a short one. Take a look at, Brandon's putting up a slide right now, I'll bet, that says deaths by COVID. And this is an amazing story. The United States has 3.72% of deaths. And we here in California and San Diego have nowhere near the national average. We're way below it. I can't tell you why. All I know is that COVID has really not been a major factor in California. Let's look at the next slide, because it's a little bit amazing when you think about it. When you look at New York, New Jersey, and Southern California, which almost have the same populations, New York, New Jersey has 10 times the deaths as in Southern California. And Northern California has for a community with 8 million people to have only 450 deaths is amazing. One of the things I find particularly interesting is the city of San Francisco, which is a high density city, which uses a lot of public transit. They've only had 45 deaths. I can't tell you why. We have lucked out in California, but it's a real blessing. If you look at the next slide, and let's go to San Diego, what you find is that basically almost 9 out of every 10 deaths from COVID are folks over 60 years of age. And if you're under 40, the odds of you getting COVID are basically insignificant. The sad thing is that 50% of the deaths are taking place in nursing homes. And that's about the same as it is in Europe, by the way. So a very difficult situation. Let's look at the next one, because we go into our real business of real estate and look at the pending sales. April was down, May was up substantially. If you average April and May, you'll see that it's basically on the same par with January, February, and March. So it's doing well. And considering the shortage of product, it's pretty amazing. Let's look at the next slide. The key indicators, it's just wonderful to see that you're basically getting 100% of your listing price. And I know that a fairly heavy, substantial are at listing or even a little bit above. Days on market, I think it's remarkable. It's like 3 weeks on an average. And in terms of the month's supply, you know, most of the United States has a 6 month inventory of active listings. Here we're down to less than 2. And unfortunately, I don't see that going up a lot because the market is just craving product. Now let's look at the recovery. People say, is it going to be a U or is it going to be a V? I say it's going to be a V. And I can see that already. I can see that. I know Americans love to spend money and they've been dying to go out and spending. And they're doing that now. In terms of new home construction, and new home constructions have always led the way out of recessions. The new home builders are really gearing up for a very dynamic second half because they want to meet their 2020 goals. In order to do that, they've got to break ground on the new homes this month and next month. So other than their shortage of labor, which is really killing them, they're going to do very well. The car dealers, what a phenomenal time to buy a car. Zero interest, no payments for 6 months. And the dealers have this huge inventory and they're paying interest on that car. They call it flooring charges. And then the German, the Japanese, and the Koreans have started up their manufacturing and are going to be pouring more cars in. So the car dealers have to make deals. So go buy a car. The millions of jobs that disappeared, the vast majority are hourly workers, blue collar, and they're the ones that have the heaviest employment in retailing, restaurant, bars, hotels, and the like. And they're coming back to life now. And that's picking up very, very dramatically. And dining out and recreation will be back in fashion big time. I don't know if you were out last weekend. The beaches were mobbed. The restaurants were doing beautifully. And the shopping centers, plenty of cars fill them up. Now, the last item, realtors will be overwhelmed with folks who want to buy. They already are. Here we've had really an amazing economy going for 8, 9, 10 years. And these people have been saving their money to buy a home. And they know that staying in a rental, and I do love apartments, but the reality is they're tired of staying in apartments. They're tired of the high rents. They can just as easily buy a house. And with the amazing amount of money that's out there in terms of mortgage and the low rates and the low points, they really have to buy now. So if we can just get the listings, they will sell. And just quoting Thomas Jefferson, I like the dreams of the future better than the history of the past. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
All right, Alan. So let me throw not necessarily a curveball at you, but I got a question. You showed us those numbers with COVID and how many people have had it in San Diego, how many people have unfortunately passed away and things of that nature. And the numbers look very optimistic in terms of people not fearing that this is going to be a problem for them. How do you correlate that to what you're seeing in the numbers for real estate?
Well, actually, one of the things that I have been tracking through our clients is the apartment market, and they are having rent collections in the 90+% range. And if there was really a recession, you'd see a lot of folks move out and move back with their parents, for instance, but they're not. They're staying in their apartments and they're paying their rent. And that's an excellent indicator of the strength of the market.
Great, Alan. I appreciate that. Expanding on your optimism in the continued optimism, how do you feel the commercial markets, let's dig a little deeper, how do you feel the commercial markets will be impacted with the long-term tenant paying rent implications, the landlord challenges to pay their debt service against those shopping centers, et cetera, et cetera? So how would you characterize the optimism within the commercial markets?
You know, I look at all the different sectors of the commercial market, and the only sector that I see that will have long-term hit will be the regional shopping centers, which will just basically have to reconfigure themselves into new villages where they will add residential and hotels, but they will hurt. The regular bonds type centers, they'll continue to do very well, as will the small strip centers. Office market will just be stable. It's not as if all the businesses decide to have all their employees working at home. They know that that does not really work very well. It's tough to manage and to communicate when you're only doing it by Zoom. So overall, I don't see any big hurts coming in the world of commercial, and the world of industrial has never been stronger, and it'll continue that way.
So as you continue to forecast a V recovery versus a U in San Diego, what do you feel is the difference, and how and why would you characterize those differences?
Just generally speaking, I just see a world of normalcy. It's really pretty much that simple. I don't see anything scary ahead of us, whether it's apartments or for sale housing. We have a very strong economy in San Diego County. We have an amazing amount of stability and safety nets built in. So we'll do okay.
So Alan, let me ask the next question we have for you. And actually, this is coming from some of the questions coming in. You know, what sectors of the unemployment base or the employment base do you think were hurt most by the pandemic, and where do you see things going in terms of population? Do you see it growing? Do you see it shrinking as a result?
Okay, when we talk about unemployment, basically well over half of the unemployment has been in leisure and hospitality, and that's not coming back for a while. Now, there are two parts to that. The leisure market, in other words, the summer vacationers, they're coming back, and they'll come back very strong. If you look at hotel occupancies along the coast this month, you'll see that there are an amazing number of hotels are in the 100% range on the weekends. And that's pretty good, because what we have here is 25 million people living within a day's drive of San Diego. And as a result of that, they're not going to be on planes, they're going to drive. And they're going to drive here because they love our beaches and our zoo and Legoland, SeaWorld, Balboa Park. So it's going to be a very, very good year for them. The tough part is the convention market. and that won't be coming back till the fourth quarter. So the big convention hotels and the high-end steakhouses, they're going to be hurting for a while.
Thanks, Alan. Two questions from the studio audience. One was with respect to specific communities. Do I buy in Forest Ranch or Carmel Valley? And I'll tell you, and I'll answer this question, and I'll give you the last question, is first of all, Carmel Valley is driven by school district. I just closed out a 5-home subdivision there during the pandemic, and I will tell you the amount of multicultural money and folks looking for the school district, the best school district in town, Del Mar and Torrey Pines High School, et cetera. They are battling to get into that school district. So if you're comparing that to Forest Ranch has traditionally always been the upper tier. Del Mar School District is the only one that rivals it and probably exceeds it just a little bit. And so those are the two highest demand communities and drive Valley consequently. The other point that I want you to answer, Alan, is with the mortgage deferrals at an all-time high, the forbearances that the mortgagers have put in place for relief, do you see that impacting bankruptcies in the marketplace? Do you see defaults occurring later on in the year?
Yeah, the answer is no, absolutely not. I do not. Let me turn back to your other comment because it's really interesting. I did a study about 2 years ago where I compared home prices per square foot based on the SAT scores in the high schools of the area that serve them. And as you did note, 92130 winds up with the highest prices per square foot. That's Carmel Valley, La Costa Canyon High School, Torrey Pines, Canyon Crest are the three big high schools there. And then you just move down one notch, move over to 92129, which is Rancho Penasquitas and that area.
Westview.
And you can see the prices per square foot drop about $100. And you can go through the entire county and do an analysis of what home prices are based on the SAT scores.
Good point.
Now, and one last question from someone. Predicted foreclosure rates in the next 6 months after the election. What do you think that, how do you think the election will impact us in terms of any foreclosure rates, or is it pretty consistent with what you just said?
Foreclosure rate won't change. It's as low as it's been in 10 years, and it's going to stay that way.
Are you sure? Are you sticking with that?
I'm very sure of that.
All right. Well, thank you, Alan, so much. For everyone watching, if we didn't get to your question, trust me, we will. We'll follow up in the summary that's coming tomorrow, and Alan will see all the questions as well, and we'll try to get an answer for you. But Alan, thank you so much. I like how you started it. You're sticking with it, and we're just going to stick with what you said. So if you're wrong, we will tell everybody how to reach you. Thank you.
Right.
All right. Moving on, this is actually one of the more popular sections or segments. It's the caravan, the county caravan. And we anticipate this will continue to grow throughout the upcoming year, so stay tuned for that. But right now we have two caravans represented today, the Mission Bay Caravan and the Rancho Penasquitas. Let me first introduce Christine Wright. She is with Coldwell Banker Realty. She's the executive director for that caravan. And Victoria Schaefer, she's a home mortgage consultant with Wells Fargo, and she's also the president of that caravan. And then for Rancho Penasquitas, we have Michael Francisco. He's with Prime Lending. So we're going to first start with Victoria and Christine. So are you both there?
We're here. Here.
All right. Thank you so much for doing this. And let me first by saying you guys do a really nice job out there. I've been to your caravan, and I'm just so happy to see that two people that have a lot of energy are still doing this during this time and keeping that a very lively, well-attended caravan. So thank you for doing that for our members. So let me first start by asking, where is your caravan? What day is it and what time?
Sure, I'll go ahead and answer that question. This is Victoria Schaefer. So we meet every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. at the beautiful Mission Bay Yacht Club located at 1215 El Carmel Place in Mission Beach. Our caravans typically start after the meeting, which is 9:30 to 12. And most of our members do come early. They come about 8 a.m. because we do offer a continental breakfast and coffee. And one thing that's a little different than some of the other caravans, so we actually are a membership-based organization. We typically have about 300 members, and since the COVID and going to the Zoom calls, we typically have about 89 members on our Zoom calls.
A great job, and I know you do a great job. Mark, thought you were ready to say something.
No, I know they have a fantastic location there in Mission Bay.
All right.
And they do a great job, and it's probably some of the nicest real estate in San Diego.
All right. So, Christine and Victoria, tell us what you're seeing. What are you hearing from the people attending your caravan? You have great attendance and all that. But what are you hearing in terms of listings, the activity, the excitement? What are you seeing?
I'm going to turn that over to Christine.
Hi, I help put together the actual caravan sheets, so I'm very involved with what the agent's activity is in the organization. And it's been down as far as new listings, as you know, we were talking about this year, but I feel like this, going into June, we're getting more listings on the market because what we've seen and heard from other agents is multiple offers on property. There's low inventory and a lot of buyers taking advantage of the mortgage rates right now. So, you know, it's a great seller's market. And so now more sellers are starting to slowly get their listings, more listings on the market, I feel like, in our area. Right, what you're seeing on the screen right here is just a snapshot of our meeting is every Tuesday. So typically, we don't get a lot of new listings on Tuesdays, but this particular week, our caravan tour, we had 3 new listings. One property go into escrow, a sold, and the average days on the market has gone down quite a bit since earlier in the year. So it's all good trends that are happening, and also the we're hearing prices going over asking for a lot of listings. So anyways, that's kind of what's happening in our area. But yeah, overall, our tour sheets are quite a bit smaller than they used to be. We used to have about 15 listings on tour, and that's gone down to 10 listings to 6 listings, sometimes 4, and so forth. So, but we're optimistic about the summer and that things are really going to start picking up.
Christine, this is Mark. You know, Mission Bay, Mission Beach, those areas are all really famous for those really spectacular beachfront on the sand properties, Sail Bay, and all these cool little niche areas within that marketplace. Are you seeing the multi-million-dollar properties go into escrow quickly, coming on the market, or is inventory shallow?
It seems that $1.5 million and below is where the momentum really picks up. And once you get over $1.5 million, it's a little slower to get off the market. You know, the movement isn't quite as rapid. It just seems to be a trend in Mission Beach so far. Yeah.
And real quick, this is Mike again. You mentioned earlier days on market down. Where was it 3-4 months ago?
3-4 months ago, I have that stat. We were more like, right now we're about 22 days on market on average. And you know, there's a lot of listings that go off the market within 5 days, but we were more in, my stat for that was, we were 39 days on the market, and now we're down to 22 on average for all types of listings. So that's just an overall encompassing number on single family, condo, 1 to 4 units, you know, on average. Yeah.
Wow, that is a big difference. Well, all I can say is tell your people at your next caravan, your Zoom call, that according to Alan, everything is going to be getting better. So hopefully we can get that back up to 10, 15 listings on your sheets. We're going to move right ahead to Michael Francisco. Michael, are you there?
Yes. Hi, good afternoon, gentlemen. Mike Francisco here.
Hey, Mike.
Thanks for joining us, Michael. You're a little too formal for us right now, but I appreciate you being here. So real quick, your Rancho Penasquitos caravan, I understand it's kind of a new caravan. Tell us the date, time, location, kind of where you are and how people can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So our caravan, we meet every Wednesday morning at 10:30, goes from 10:30 to 11 a.m. Before this whole pandemic happened and stay-at-home order, we were meeting at one of our local sports bars called Pitchers, which is a local spot, brewery / pub. And believe it or not, I think it's awesome. It's called Pitchers, where realtors get to pitch their listings or coming listings. So, but yeah, we're meeting through Zoom right now, taking advantage of technology, staying connected with our local leaders, local realtors, and also our local town council as well in Penasquitos.
Well, I can appreciate your humor. That's my kind of like dad humor. So I thought that was actually a very nice joke. So all kidding aside. But tell us, what are you seeing in terms of the market? I think we have some numbers here. What are you seeing? What are you guys discussing about at your caravan?
Yeah, most definitely. Nothing normal. I mean, right now I can tell you, I mean, this is definitely eye-opener for us right now in terms of numbers prior to COVID, first quarter of 2020. We always have this slow run in the beginning of the quarter, but then it tends to pick up. With right now, you can see on the market, we have 32 properties on the market. So that's definitely up about over 167%, which to me is a sign of the times. We're going into the summertime right now. So a lot of folks who are ready to sell, I'm going to start taking advantage of the summer season right now because maybe their kids have already graduated school and they're ready to sell their property and take advantage of this equity. But Rancho Penasquitos 92129 is a very special community right between Mara Mesa, Rancho Bernardo, Forest Ranch, and it's obviously in the Poway Unified School District. And Mark touched on that earlier. A lot of families come into these districts, whether it's Poway Unified or Torrey, because of the school, because of the district itself. So definitely a good point for a lot of families. But again, we're seeing it slowly come up in terms of listings, but we're just not there yet. We're still lacking inventory in 92129.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. And the funny thing is, being in the trenches, I can tell you that Penasquitos, at least for the last year and a half, 2 years, has always been a very competitive market. You have Westview High School. People battle to get in there, and they want to live in that 92129 and areas that feed into that particular high school as an example. Even through the pandemic, houses were selling with multiple offers. So as a buyer's agent, you really got to kind of come in guns blazing. Do you have any tips for navigating the Penasquitos market?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are a buyer's agent and looking to break into this community, help your buyers get positioned in this community, I highly recommend you be part of this caravan, because not only do we pitch our listings on tour, but buyer needs, seller needs. It's a great opportunity to, obviously introduce yourself and get to know the local realtors in the heart of Penasquitos. So when something does get on, before it hits the MLS, you have an opportunity to build that relationship. And as a lender myself with Prime Lending, get positioned with the lender, get your buyers positioned so that you guys can close on time and close quicker and remove those contingencies a lot quicker. Because like, you guys mentioned earlier, with Christine and Mark, people and buyers are taking advantage of these crazy low rates right now. It's keeping us busy right now. Thank goodness for these low rates.
Great job, Michael.
Let me ask both of you, or all three of you, this question. With everything kind of starting to open up again, do you guys have any idea of when your caravans will actually start again in person? We'll start with Christine and Victoria.
I can answer that. This is Victoria. So certainly we're just following the county guidelines on when groups larger than 10 can meet. We're certainly, everyone on our Zoom call is saying that they really want to get back to those in-person meetings. So we're really kind of taking everything into consideration and then thinking about what does an in-person meeting mean anymore? Does it, typically we offered a breakfast. Do we take away the breakfast so you don't have that buffet? Do we ask everyone to wear masks? So we're really kind of evaluating everything that's taking place right now and trying to get back as soon as possible. We may just go to actual caravans without the meetings and then follow the protocol that realtors have with allowing people in the home. So certainly we're doing everything we can to try to get back open.
What about you, Michael?
That's been a big topic on our virtual tour caravans as well too. But right now we're playing it by ear. Everyone seems to love jumping on Zoom right now in their shorts and their comfortable pajamas right now. But we're gonna play it by ear. I know Pitchers just recently opened up. As I mentioned, it's a restaurant, but we're probably gonna play it by ear maybe mid-July and see how that pans out. So right now we're keeping distance, we're keeping safe, but luckily for technology, we're staying in touch.
So let me offer both of you this, and we're telling all of our members. As you know, the association has, as a part of its Practice Safe Real Estate program, we have gift packages for all the members. Every member is entitled to receive one. All you have to do is just call us up and drive by, and someone will bring it out to your car. But if you need these for your caravans, if you start going back to in-person meetings and people need masks or hand gel or hand sanitizer and some of the footies, we got all kinds of stuff in here to make everyone feel safe. Let us know. We can make sure you have whatever you need for the caravan so people can start networking as it relates to real estate, as well as if they have clients, buyers or sellers, doesn't matter. They have clients that they need to make sure that their clients are safe and they need a mask and some hand sanitizer and everything else that comes in this bag. Just let us know. It's complimentary. Doesn't matter. As long as you're a realtor in San Diego County, you're entitled to receive one. Just let us know. We'll make sure you all have this. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for
All
having
right,
us.
thank you both. I know it's a lot to kind of plan for this and get ready for all the questions, but we appreciate it a lot. And anything we can do to help your caravan be successful, just let us know. Okay, so moving right along, we're going to go into another segment that actually is kind of growing quite a bit. Not as popular as the caravan section, but we are trying, but a lot of people enjoy it. It is the top producer panel. And we kind of did things a little differently this week. We have a range of and their own expertise and their own success. So first we have Kelly Woodard. She is with Big Block Realty. She was a Rookie of the Year in 2018. And this is pretty impressive. 80,000 followers on Instagram. I almost said 100,000, but anyway, 80,000 followers on Instagram, which is amazing. Only in the business 2.5 years. And then we have Pete Middleton with Exp Realty. He's been around quite a while, I think 25 plus years, sold more than 3,000 homes. He was a January 2020 Performance Magazine exclusive agent feature. He was one of the top 5 in the nation with Coldwell Banker, as well as I think he is now part of the International President's Premier Award for the Pete Knows Real Estate Middleton team. That's a handful to say. And then lastly, we have Alisa Davies. She's with Reef Point Realty. She was in 2018 and 19, 40 under 40. And she was also in both those years a Platinum Production Awardee. And she's been a top producer in 2015, 17, 18, and 19. And she's only been in the business 6 years. So I'm very interested, all 3 of these people, different levels of experience, different years in the business, to hear what they've been doing to be successful. So we're first going to start, if we could, with Kelly. Kelly, are you there?
I am here.
All
Hi.
right. Sorry, I almost gave you an extra 20,000 Instagram followers.
I'll take it.
And quite frankly, I was anticipating after seeing this today that you would get 20,000 more. If that does happen, let me know. Then maybe we are doing better than I thought we were. So anyway, so tell us pretty much kind of what you're doing. How did you build your business in 2.5 years, 80,000 Instagram followers? How's it been helping you?
So my biggest thing for newbies, which I didn't know back in the day, was join a team, right? When I first got in the business, I got my license and I was like, boom, $1 million deals tomorrow, here I come. Like, I was super excited for that. But then right when I joined a team, I got the support, I got the training, learned how to lead gen on my own, which is really nice. And the Instagram thing kind of just, it just kind of followed me. Like, I'm very raw. I'm very real. I'm bubbly. I consider myself kind of funny sometimes. So I feel like the social following just kind of happened, and I make sure to reply to every comment, interact with every DM, which I get hundreds every day. Like, it's insane, but I really try to put myself out there and let people know, like, I'm here to help.
So Kelly, what specific adjustments did you make given this new business environment, and how would you describe your current business model?
Well, adjustments for sure with COVID, right? And I know we talked about price point. A lot of lenders stopped doing jumbo. So we immediately switched and we were like, okay, let's attack these people under 700, under 600. And that's where me personally, I saw the most success, was right around that 5 to 700 range because lenders stopped doing jumbo for quite a while. My business model now, I'm definitely in the metro central area. I focus mainly on buyers. I do listings here and there, more so referrals, but definitely as a focused buyer's agent, what everyone else has been saying, right? You have to get your foot in the door. You have to write strong offers, tight terms, you know, chunky deposits, down payments, things like that. And that's where I'm at.
Chunky deposits. That's the takeaway.
All right.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
And based on what you said, your bubbly personality and all of that, sounds like you and I have a lot in common, especially the humor part. So I can hear what you're saying, but I don't have that many followers. So let me ask you this. With COVID and everything that's going on, got a great social media following. What kind of adjustments have you had to make because of everything that's been going on? And how have you worked around it?
I'd say the biggest one is being receptive to feelings, right? So I have some clients that are like, excuse my language, hey, we don't give a shit. We want to see the house. We don't care. And then you have the other side of clients that are like, oh no, can we go in there? Do we wear masks? Like, are you going to be 6 feet away from us? So my biggest thing personally is just making sure every single client is comfortable and confident moving forward, right? You have the people that don't care, let us in, and then the other people that are like, where are the booties? Where are the gloves? Where is the mask? So I think my biggest thing with social media is a little bit of education, because a lot of people don't know, like, you know, that are outside looking in, outside the business, they don't know the protocols, the PED forms, you know, things like this. So I think there was a certain level of education and kind of adjusting to how people feel, because someone like me, I'm on the fence. I'm like, hey, if you don't give a shit, I don't give a shit either. But hey, if you care a lot, okay, let's be cautious. Let's take a step back and let's care. So I think it just depends on the client themselves and making sure people are educated and feel super comfortable as well. But for me personally, COVID, I've been way busier. I feel like people are stuck in condos, stuck in apartments, like, get me out of here. I need a yard. What's going on? So I think business is booming since COVID for me personally.
Okay, great. Now, both you and Alisa are relatively new in real estate. What recommendations, and I'm going to ask Alisa the same question, what recommendations do you have for anyone starting out, especially at a time like this?
So biggest thing for me, if you don't know what you're doing, jump on a team. Find the top producer on the team and just do what they do. Ask them questions, shadow them, see if you can go on appointments, et cetera, et cetera. And like I said, when I initially started, I had no training, no support, no nothing. I was dropping off Dream Home magazines with a business card sticker in North Park and high heels in the middle of summer. I didn't even knock on the doors, you guys. I didn't even knock. I was so nervous. I was so scared. So the biggest thing is find a team. Find someone that will support you, that will train you, that will help you with lead gen. And I mean, I hate to say it, like, maybe hold your hand the first 60 days. That's definitely hands down my biggest regret for me being new is I should have joined a team from day one instead of wasted. I didn't do my first deal for 8 months. So there's that.
Wow. Okay. Well, actually, you know what? I think you need to pick up what Alan was saying. You know, you're just going to stick with that because I think that would just fit nicely with how you just ended that.
And speaking of Alan, thank you. I did buy a car. Appreciate that, Alan. Thanks for that. Bought a brand new car.
All right. So, Alisa, are you there? We'll go to you next. Are you there?
Hey, yes, I'm here.
All right. Thank you for joining us. And you and I have been working together on a couple of projects, so I appreciate you taking the time. One of the things that I quickly realized about you is you're very aggressive and a go-getter. Let me ask you the same kind of question. How did you build your business in the brief 6 years? It's gone by quickly. How have you built yours to, I think you said last year you did 40-something transactions. Tell us what you've been doing to be successful.
Yeah, so I have to echo what Kelly had said. I was in the business for about 8 months before doing my first transaction, and I was introduced to John Reeves in 2013. And so I joined his team, and he was super willing to teach me everything he knew. I got to shadow him, sit in his office, hear the way he talked to clients, because the broker I was with previously just didn't offer any of that. So if somebody's new and coming into the business, exactly what Kelly said. Find a team, find somebody who has the time and the want to train you and teach you. If you don't find somebody who's willing to kind of bring you up in the business, it's going to be really, really challenging.
What kind of adjustments have you had to make during this time to your business model?
It's allowed me a bit more time, I would say, without having the in-person meetings. So we've been doing a lot of Zoom calls. I think that it's really important for people to focus on being an educator versus a salesperson. So I've used this time to do a lot of Zoom meetings with clients, explaining to them the different contingencies and what the process is like and what to look for on houses. And so I can do a lot more of that virtually versus having to meet everybody in person for every meeting.
Great, Alisa. This is Mark. Question for you. Do you characterize your business model as primarily listing versus buyers? And give us the specifics on which one and how you win in that space. Because if you're doing buyers, there's some techniques that you have to know.
Absolutely. So I would say that at this point in my business, I'm probably 70% listings and 30% buyers. And in terms of being competitive on listings, I think it's really important to be honest on listing presentations. People get told and made a lot of promises, and ultimately when I take the listing over other people, it's because I'm brutally honest. I tell them exactly what to expect, and usually people like my directness and not overselling the listing. We call it buying the listing, telling them an unrealistic price.
You know, I just want to echo that point. I think it's an exceptional point to underscore. Being direct with the sellers. Newer agents are afraid to tell the truth sometime, and you'll find that when you tell the truth, you win.
So true.
So Alisa, we've been talking a lot about social media. How have you incorporated that into your business practices? And have you been able to monetize any of your social media engagement? I know a couple of weeks ago, we had someone who's been successful in that. It ended up being a TV show for them. But what are you doing with social media, and have you been able to monetize it?
So I don't have 80,000 followers. I wish I did. Kelly, we'll have to talk so I can get your tips. I have about, 8,000 between all the avenues, but I feel like I use it in lieu of a newsletter. I know that when I had started in the business, everybody was preaching, hey, do these newsletters to keep in touch with your sphere. I find social media so much easier and so much more authentic to keep in touch with your people. So I feel like I'm talking to my people every day because I'm commenting on their lives and what's going on in their, world, but I'm not having to go out of my way to print newsletters and mail them out to them. I'm just saying, hey, your kid looks cute here, and like, how are you, and things on social media.
Great, thank you.
Can I second?
Yes, go ahead.
I agree with Alisa 100% because even in my email signatures, it's like, follow me on Instagram, add me on Facebook. Like, it's a natural drip. It's not forced. It's not salesy. It's not, here's the market breakdown. No offense. Love your guys' market breakdowns. But from the consumer side, it's a natural drip every single day. They get to know you personally, your dogs, your family, etc. So I agree with you 100%. It's much more effective than any other marketing tool out there, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I'm kind of creepy with it. So when we close, when I close a deal with a client, I don't add them until close, just in case like I go on vacation or something like that, and I don't necessarily tell them. But at close, I add them, and then I kind of add a few of their friends and stuff too. That way, I feel like I'm getting into their sphere as well.
Very good. And speaking of creepy, we're going to go on to our next guest, Pete Middleton. Are you there?
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Sorry, it just came out of me naturally. I apologize.
Okay,
so Pete, introduce yourself. You have a long resume. A lot of people know you in San Diego. You've been one of those constant top producing agents, and we're really honored to have you. And actually, I enjoy our friendship. But tell us a little bit about us, and then kind of, if you could, just walk into what's been kind of your success over the years.
I think my success over the years, just I always try to tell the truth. It's the easiest thing to remember. And when I advise people, I advise them the way I would want to be advised if I was buying, selling, or investing. I make sure that I know the data and that I'm able to navigate any market, especially with experience. So that's always been kind of my recipe for success. And what I've done is just been very consistent and straightforward.
Hey, Pete, Mark here.
Hey, Mark.
So being a seasoned pro, you know the business better as well, or better than anybody out there. What adjustments have you made, given your experience, given the COVID pandemic issues and showings and just interaction with the clients? How would you characterize what you've done to kind of continue to elevate your business?
I'd say we've taken more of an adversarial or advisor type role where we're bringing the right information to the clients, the sellers, the buyers, the investors, and really trying to help them navigate this market, because there's been a lot of unknowns and there's been a lot of curveballs thrown at the real estate industry. We've been in constant contact with all the great people at SDMLS. They've been great help to us in helping us navigate the rules and how different parts of this market are rolling out and so forth. And that's been a big thing. But I'd say one of the big things that my team and I have been doing is we've been really talking rates and terms, and not just pricing, just rates and terms, and trying to get people positioned in a long-term fashion where they want to live. Are they in their dream homes? What, really just listening to them, hearing what they are looking to do, and then finding solutions. That was the big kind of rhetoric we've had.
Great. And Pete, the topic of teams can come up, and you run a fantastic dynamic team. What advice do you have for the agents out there from your seat when they're trying to get into business? Where do I start? What do I do? How do I succeed? Give us your version.
Well, it's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Kelly answered it really well before. I'm impressed by both women. I mean, these guys are dynamite. I feel it's important when you get into a market that's moving so fast with so much unpredictable circumstances. It's good to kind of team up with a well-established team, learn your skill sets, really know the basics, and show up every day positive with the right mindset. I start every day at zero. I don't care how many transactions I have going. Every day I'm at zero, and I take it with being in service to others and trying to help as many people as I can.
So Pete, one of the things that a lot of people know about you, you've been very good on focusing on an area, and it seems like your focus happens to be the coastal luxury market. What kind of advice would you give people to how to establish a foothold in a certain segment of the market?
Well, I think if somebody's looking for a certain niche or a certain location, they have to really not only adapt to that area, but know everything about it and immerse themselves in that area, whether it's print, social media, direct mail, any type of website, any type of community organization. I think you have to really immerse yourself and get involved and know what's going on. Really know the hard data, know the facts, know what's selling, what's coming on, and really be familiar with the area. I think when it comes to consumers, they want somebody who's in tune with their environment, their market, their neighborhood, where you can really tap into it, because a lot of times they're getting misinformation or they're reading off the internet. And a lot of times the internet or on national organizations, their data is based on a national type of conversation, not a hyper local conversation. And that's what you have to have, because I think it's really important, because if you know the houses that have sold 5, 10, 15 years ago, and you can go down a street and say, this one sold for this, that one sold for that 3 years ago, this one, was on the market, then they took it off. It really gives them an understanding, and it gives them a concrete foundation on, where do we want to be, what segment of the market are we comfortable with, and so forth. So that all starts with really listening to your clients and what their goals are, what their dreams are, what are they trying to accomplish.
Those are great points. And just to remind everybody, we do have the weekly stats everyone can sign up for. So you can find out what the stat, you can pick the zip code you want for your farm area and get those stats on a weekly basis, text or email to you, so you can do exactly what Pete just said. And Pete, I have one last question. Sure. Even though our two guests with you today, Kelly and Alisa, are very, very on top of things, and you find them impressive. And I think there's a lot of our members can learn from them in terms of how they use social media with their business. As an experienced agent that's been around a while, what would you suggest to somebody like them? Because we have a lot of members like them that are less than 10 years in the business, starting out. What kind of advice someone who's seasoned you would give to them?
You know, that's a great question. You know, I heard a stat the other day that kind of amazed me. They said 82% of the homes that are going to be sold in the next decade will be sold by people who have been in real estate for less than 5 years or just getting into real estate. And, you know, the future of real estate are with the younger people who are very technologically advanced. It will come over time where they understand the market and the data and so forth. And you know, I would just say, show up every day with the right mindset, show up with the sense of helping people and really guiding them and telling them honest information. Sometimes it's not easy to say that. You know, in markets, it's tough to navigate sometimes because they can change pretty quickly. You know, I've been proven wrong many a times, especially on prices for listings and so forth. But it really comes down to a supply and demand issue. And I would just advise any new people to really plug in, really create great relationships, not only professionally with the other professionals around you, but also with the community. Mike, you guys are muted right now.
All right, there we go. I just want to thank Kelly, Alisa, and Pete for joining us today. Great nuggets of information. Hopefully you found that beneficial to your own business. We just want to thank them all. And Mike, why don't you kick it off to Carla?
Yes, thank you, all three of you. Appreciate your time. And our last guest, who's our little favorite, Carla Farley, just happens to be our president this year. Carla, thank you again. You've been here as a trooper every week. How are you doing?
Oh, there I am. They kind of had me hitting there for a second.
There you are.
How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing well. We're doing well.
Yeah.
And that's
great. I'll tell you, I have a great little Benny that I want to give. I know we have our normal great things that we do, but this is one for those who are still out there and looking for some different resources that can help you out during this whole COVID and trying to get finances together. A legitimate grant, I'll tell you, LISC. And they don't have this yet here in SDAR. And I'll tell you, the deadline is tonight at 8:59 p.m. Pacific time. And so I'm going to give you my phone number because it's easier that you text me if you want the website address to go to. And this is a straight just business grant for small businesses. You can be a sole proprietor, you can be a corporation, any of those things. They start at $2,500 up to $10,000. I know it to be so because my son was actually awarded $10,000 from them, and he has a very small business. So get in and put it in. The application is less than 10 minutes to do. But it is the Local Initiative Support Corporation in partnership with Verizon. And you do not need a Verizon account or Sam's Club and any of these places that they kind of partner with on that. That being said, that's a little Benny. Go out, do that today. Text me, I'll get you the information. On to our Practice Safe Real Estate. Want to still talk about that. I don't know if Melanie is still on the line. She had a question in there about open houses, and our Practice Safe Real Estate kind of deals with that. It deals with all the different guidelines that are going on. They're getting at, you see it up on the screen right there. This is where you can find all that kind of information along with our real estate connections. Open houses, I will hit really fast and tell you, the word means something different to everybody. And so what we have found is that people, which Melanie had, you know, how could you report somebody or what have you, actually in the second phase, we can do open houses and showings, not with crowds. So you can't have a crowd, you're limited to 3 people. And of course you have to advertise open house by appointment only. So it doesn't really become an open house, right? It becomes a VIP tour. But do people like to hear the words? I have a seller who's telling me he wants an open house. I'm going to give him one. It says by appointment only everywhere on it though. And so you do have to follow that strict guideline that you cannot have more than 3 people appointment only, that kind of stuff. But again, Practice Safe Real Estate program, this is where you can find all of that stuff. Know that we are here for you. We support you. We're trying to get you all the safe information out there to keep you guys safe, keep your clients safe. And like Pete and the rest of them talked about, keep you at the top of your game so that you really do know what's going on in real estate and all the guidelines and everything that's impacting us. SDAR delivery service, if you have not yet picked up your care package, what are you waiting for? Because I want every little extra set of booties I get. I have to put them in the listing, and I don't know if you guys are doing that. You're putting them in the listings, you're offering them to people, and if you're doing that open house by appointment only, right? You're going to have masks and booties and those things available. Odds are you probably won't need them because most people have a mask by now, but you sure look like you're at the top of your game when you have it to offer to the clients that come through. And then the Caravan app, you heard them talk about that. You heard our fabulous speakers here today talk about the Caravan and what's going on. You can get that same information at your fingertips. And it is on both Android and Apple. So you know that we are working when we can get that done for you. Again, just another great tool that's out there. Make sure that you also just reach out to SDAR. Again, going back to the delivery service, it is not only just for the care package, but also any of the products in our store. So if you are missing out and you wanted some of those favorite items you used to pick up, let us know. Just call in, and we do have delivery service available for that. Thank you again for always joining us, and I'll put it back to Mike and Mark.
Thank you, Carla. Nice job as always. And just so everyone knows, in the little gift bags that we're giving to everybody, all you have to do is call us. Everyone gets a little webcam cover for Practice Safe Real Estate, so you're safe from
Private. Safe and private.
Safe and private,
Right.
Keep you away from creepy people. And then also, you get the little hand sanitizer. I don't know if you can see this. It's about the size of your palm. And then if your office needs a bigger one, there's a bigger size one that you can put out at an open house or open house by appointment only. We have all these things available. We have the mask and everything. So please encourage everybody to come in and get those. We're averaging a good couple dozen a day stopping in to get those. And we have a delivery service that's taking them out there. So they're free if you're a member. Other than that, I think we have covered everything. Mark?
No, thank you, and happy selling. Enjoy these times, educate your clients, make sure they understand the processes. There's a lot of confusion out there, and I think Carla did an amazing job clearing that up on the open house. I know the open house topic is a huge question in a lot of our agents' minds out there.
And if you guys have any topics or have anybody special you want us to bring back on our next show, let us know. Just email us. And we will gladly try to reach out to them and make sure we cover what everyone wants to hear. Thank you again, and everyone, please be safe. Thank you.